What is that right there? That is definitely some kind of bone. And the smell too. Oh my God.
Something is definitely in those bushes.
I've got absolute footprints leading right towards me.
On May 2nd, 2020, in the Floyd fields and forests of Ohio, Chase Floyd, Inc., uploaded a video capturing a morning that would slowly turn frightening.
Okay, so today is April 25th, 2020, and I just ran down here with my camcorder because, as you can probably hear behind me, there's some audible howling and whooping noises that are going on.
He headed into the woods early that morning after a night filled with strange sounds that never let up. The air was damp, foggy, and still, yet deep, distant calls continued drifting through the trees.
For a couple hours now, probably around midnight or 1 o'clock last night, I started hearing these loud, it's like a whoop or a howl noises, and it went on for a couple of hours, and I wanted to come down during the night and see if I could get something on tape, but I was a little wary about doing that. So this morning, I usually get up around 4 o'clock, and I was eating my breakfast, and the noise kind of stopped for a while, but then it just started again, and every couple of minutes or so.
He said the noises started around midnight and never stopped. They came as loud whoops and howls rolling through the forest. He never slept that night.
Really, even seconds, you can kind of hear that going on, so I ran down here with a camcorder to see if I could get it on tape. As you can probably see, it's raining a little bit right now, and we have that morning fog over there. It was raining pretty good the past couple of days here in the Floyd Field forests. There it is right there. I just heard it again. So it is pretty rainy right now. This is crazy. I haven't checked the trail cameras in the past couple of days because of the weather. It's been raining almost nonstop the last couple of days, and I'm going to check them real quick, and then I kind of just want to get out of here because I really don't know what we're dealing with right now. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the 2 SD cards.
As he moved toward the trail cameras, the sounds returned, louder this time, coming from the direction of the mountains. His voice stayed steady, but his pace quickened.
I just heard it again. I think it's coming from that direction over there where we have the other trail camera, and that's where the mountain is. Okay. I really couldn't sleep last night either because it was so loud, and it just kept happening.
Near the camera area, he found signs that something had already been there. The apples were gone, and eggshells were scattered on the ground, left behind like something had visited before him.
String for the apple trap. Apples nowhere to be seen. What is this over here? Eggshell. Interesting. So they found another eggshell. Alright, well, I don't want to waste any time here. I want to grab these and go. So I'm going to grab the SD card here from this trail camera. And then I'm going to get the other one. I think that was one right there. And it's your call.
More calls broke the silence. The sound was heavy and low, nothing like a coyote or any animal he could place. The woods felt like they were closing in around him.
Oh, is that right there? There it was again. I just heard it again. I really hope the camera picks that up. I just heard it again. It's like a whoop. And last night too, it was like howls and whoops.
The noises kept coming, and he got the sense he was being watched from somewhere up in the trees. Then his body began to respond. His head started pounding, and a lightheadedness came over him, as if something wasn't right.
I really just didn't feel safe doing that. I'm just being honest. It was very dark. And at this point, we really just don't know what we're dealing with. So up here in these mountains, that's definitely the direction that I was hearing things. Is that more scat? What is that? I mean, I've heard a lot of calls in the woods in my day, but that was new. I've heard coyotes. I mean, I've heard a lot of sounds that I had never heard. There it was right there. I've never heard that before. I really don't feel good right now. So I'm just gonna grab the trail camera and get out of here. The apple's gone over here too. Okay, I'm starting to get a bit of a headache right now.
Then he heard a low growl, close enough to stop him dead in his tracks.
Okay, I'm starting to get a bit of a headache right now. Cause I really don't feel good. This is freaking me out. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab the other trail camera. I feel like I'm gonna fall over. What was that? That was like a growl. Okay. I'm just gonna grab the trail camera and I'm gonna get out of here. I can't. I just heard the growl again. I don't feel good. My head is really starting to hurt. That was the whoop right there. There's something up in those mountains that's making this noise. And I don't know what it is.
A short distance away, he spotted a large bone lying on the ground. The smell hit hard, rotten and strong, turning his stomach.
I'm just gonna get out of here. What is that right there? That is definitely some kind of bone. This is the tree cave that we found the wow. I mean, that could be a femur right there. And the smell too. Oh my God. Oh my God, it smells really bad. Oh my God. Oh. It smells like a skunk. Some kind of rotting skunk smell. It was really strong. That was right there. I heard it again.
The smell worsened, and the sounds came again from the mountains. At that point, fear took hold. He made the decision to leave, and fast, with no idea what was out there in those woods.
I do not feel safe right now. I think I just heard another call from up there. I mean, this thing could be anywhere around here. It could be watching me right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get out of here. There's something in these woods. And it's not a bear, it's not a coyote. I don't know what it is. But I don't want to be here.
The calls continued, even as he moved farther away. Whatever made them stayed out of sight, leaving him with a growing sense of fear and questions that still had no explanation.
Okay, so we found this. I'm getting out of here. I just heard it again. That was good. I don't know what that was. Okay, so I'm getting out of here. I don't feel good.
With that being said, let's move on to our next encounter for this video. The video comes from the YouTube channel Sort of Interesting, a solo adventure channel based in the United Kingdom, known for calm, observational exploration. The channel covers endurance challenges, wild camping, and testing personal limits, often leaning into discomfort and tension without ever reaching for drama. This recording was made on January 9th, 2026, in a snow-covered woodland somewhere in the UK.
Welcome to my first ever sub-zero degree camping trip, and also my first real cold temperature test of my new winter sleeping bag. Because of that, I didn't want to drift too far away from civilization, so I've come down to a secret little area that I've camped out at before, and as I was on my way there, I wanted to do a few exciting wintry snowy shots for you so that you could see the lovely scenery lit up in the darkness. And then it started to snow a little bit more heavily, and I thought, if I don't get my camp set up, I'm potentially going to get absolutely covered in snow, soaking wet, and then be cursing myself from a very damp bivvie bag. So I came out to this little hidden spot and just checked the ground conditions, and then thought, right, let's get stuck in here. So I have fetched my trekking poles, and I've got a small tarp and pegs and all sorts here as well, so I could build a small shelter if it was a little bit windy and I wanted to take that wind chill off. And the trouble I've got here is the tree cover is so spindly that once daylight hits, or if somebody comes past in the small hours with a torch, they're going to see a tarp and that unnatural tall square shape standing out a mile away in here. So without creating a tarp shelter, we are going to have a really low profile camp setup. So we've got a basic poncho tarp hybrid that I'm using as a ground sheet and an Elpkit Elan hooped bivvie. I'm so glad I bought that as my first bivvie bag last year. It's just so handy and so convenient. Like I say, super low profile, but that hooped section just makes it feel that little bit more open and substantial than my really basic bivvie bag. So I'm going to use two relatively low end sleeping mattresses to try and get a bit of distance between me and the very cold ground, which was certainly not ideal, and you'll see more on that in just a moment.
He sets out on his first ever sub-zero bivvy camp with one goal in mind: putting a new winter sleeping bag through its paces in real conditions. To keep the risk manageable, he picks a wooded area close to civilization, somewhere he has camped before. What he doesn't expect is how quickly that familiar place will start to feel anything but. The snowfall comes in heavier than forecast, forcing him to drop any plans for scenic filming and shift his focus entirely to getting set up before the cold and wet take hold. With sparse tree cover and the possibility of being spotted, he decides against rigging a tarp. Instead, he goes as low profile as possible, a simple bivvy laid directly on the ground. Snow keeps falling, visibility tightens, and the temperature continues to drop. Then, as daylight starts to go, the first unsettling moment of the night arrives.
This was the moment the first drama of the night happened. Somebody over there, there's somebody over there. What is going on here? There has been somebody walking around out there. Unfortunately, I've waited and waited, and you can see the snow started to collect and actually gather on the bivvy and tarp now. I can't do this in total darkness, so might as well just put the light on and go for it. I don't know if anyone's out there or not. If I've been spotted, I've been spotted. I'll keep my ear out. Obviously, I'm going to hear a lot of noise if somebody approaches the camp tonight.
While laying out his sleeping mats, he suddenly freezes. Something is moving in the woods nearby. He can't tell whether it's an animal or a person, so he goes completely still and listens. Snow piles up on his bivvy and gear as he waits, unable to safely carry on with the setup.
This was when the second drama happened, when I knew that I'd seen a light.
I've got absolute footprints leading right towards me. I mean, it's continued snowing, but there, yeah. There, you saw that absolute clear. Oh, I hope that's on the camera. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Oh. Every now and then they just catch directly towards me.
Luckily, the lights didn't get that close to me.
When the snowfall finally eases off, he notices something that stops him cold. Fresh footprints in the snow, leading directly toward his camp. Around the same time, lights appear in the distance, flickering on and off and pointing his way, before eventually drifting elsewhere. He realizes his own tracks are clearly visible, so he dims his light and holds position for long stretches, getting colder by the minute while he waits for the lights to disappear.
It's currently -2 degrees right now here, and to be honest, after how long it took the gas stove to not quite get the water to boil for my last wintry hot... What was that? It's not very far away, and that I do not like. Foxes. Foxes. Oh, I hope that's foxes. Listen. That has given me goosebumps even more than the -2 degrees we're facing.
In the early hours of the morning, while lying awake inside his bivvie, he is jolted by a sudden burst of screaming close by. The sound is sharp enough to put him on full alert. After sitting with it for a moment, he concludes it's foxes. But even with that explanation, the experience rattles him, and any real sense of calm is gone for the rest of the night. No direct encounter happens, but this is not a comfortable night by any measure. Unexplained movement in the trees, footprints heading straight for his position, distant lights that won't quite settle, and a jarring burst of screaming in the dark, all of it layered on top of bitter cold and real isolation. It keeps him on edge from dusk to dawn. Come morning, he acknowledges that picking a spot close to civilization was the right call for a first sub-zero attempt. He breaks down frozen equipment and walks out of the woodland, turning over one thought: how fast a quiet winter camp can start to feel wrong, not because of anything you can point to directly, but because of everything that never gets explained. Out there in the cold and the dark, with snow coming down around you, even something as simple as a footprint or a light in the distance can completely change how a place feels. If you found yourself in that situation, would you stay and wait it out, or would you trust your gut and go while you still had the chance? On September 24th, 2024, the Channel Madison Clydale documented a solo hike deep into the mountains of British Columbia, a place where standing still in the trees for too long is enough to make you second-guess being there at all. The trip began without incident. The goal was to reach a mountain peak and track down the remains of a major plane crash that had occurred somewhere in that area years before. But the further in she went, the more the atmosphere seemed to press down on her.
This trail gets really bushwhacky, and probably would have brought pants if I knew that. But this was plan C, remember? So I'm keeping Kiro on a leash because he doesn't have the best recall, and we're in thick bush in grizzly territory. However, I also feel safer when I know I have him close. It's almost like a layer of protection, because once he's gone, I'm really alone.
This is grizzly bear country. Out here, even the faintest sound from the bushes triggers something in your body before your brain has a chance to catch up.
Hey, bear! Hey, bear! Something is definitely in those bushes. Got my bear spray. I thought it might have been a person, but we're on the edge of a cliff right now. Hey, bear! Typically, if I'm camping close to Forest Service Road, that's like a bear highway. I've only ever seen bears, knock on wood, when I'm in the car. So that was scary for me at first to sleep in a tent. But After the first 2 nights exposure therapy, I felt so much better about it. Anyways, I'm just yapping, keeping my mind off dark places. I'm having fun. This is fun. Hold on, Carol. What's down here? Hold on, Carol. Let's check the map. Oh, that's a campsite. No, we're not going down there. Come on, this way.
When Madison reached the wreckage of the abandoned plane, rusted metal sat still among the rocks and moss, and the sense that something wasn't right became impossible to shake.
The remains of the plane. That's the propeller there. R.I.P. Grandpa, it would have been nice to have known you. Grandma always thought of you. That's sweet.
She made the call to head out before dark fully set in. The footage ends without any clear incident, but it leaves something behind that's difficult to put into words. There are places in the forest where nothing has to happen for you to feel like you shouldn't be there. This was one of them. On the Creepy Travels channel, most of the creators' videos follow straightforward overnight trips through remote stretches of the Cumberland Plateau. But on one particular outing, things took a turn he wasn't prepared for. The date was December 8th, 2025. The original plan was simple: sleep in his car. But when he spotted his hammock still sitting in the back, he changed course, grabbed it, and headed down toward a nearby creek to set up there instead of spending the night roadside. The moment he stepped onto the trail, a scream cut through the woods from somewhere deeper inside.
Now, we ain't having this. We are not having this. We are camping.
It stopped him where he stood. Just minutes before he arrived, a car had been pulling out of the area. Unusual for a place this remote. He noted it, let it go, and kept walking, though he mentioned more than once that running into anyone out here felt off. As he moved through the trees looking for 2 solid trunks to hang the hammock from, he passed old chair frames, abandoned backpacks, and the scattered remnants of what had once been a private campground. The site had been empty for years, and the leftovers were still spread across the ground where people had left them. Once he found the right trees, he got the hammock up and settled in. For a moment, things felt almost normal. Then the atmosphere shifted again.
I guess that car come back. It's where you park at, walk down way out that way, but I just saw some at that rock bluff right there. He had a black shirt. And I know that when they was pulling out, the guy had a black shirt on. This guy looked like he had a black shirt on. Might come back for a screaming wife.
Before turning in, he walked the old campground layout, pointing out collapsed tents, rusted sinks, and what was left of a small footbridge. He traced where the shower block once stood and where campers used to pitch their tents before the place was finally left behind. There was one story attached to the site from years back. A camper reportedly woke up in the middle of the night to something touching his foot through an unzipped tent. After that, people gradually stopped coming. By the time he climbed into the hammock, the woods had gone quiet, and he figured he'd get a light night's sleep while the forest did its usual thing. Then, around 3 a.m., he snapped awake. There was movement in the water and the sharp crack of branches close by. It had the feel of something, or someone, moving through the darkness just around him. The sounds weren't continuous, but they came back often enough to keep him alert. Every rustle, every branch that gave way underfoot made him hold still and wonder what was out there. With work the next morning, he began breaking down his gear in the dark, his mind still turning over the earlier scream, the footsteps near the creek, and the man in the black shirt he was fairly certain he had seen twice. Deer never left him feeling like that. Whatever had made those sounds, it sat with him. He was gone before sunrise, wrapping up the night without any final incident. Just the quiet, stubborn feeling that the place never really settled down. Most sounds in the woods do have explanations, but when a night lines up the way this one did, those explanations start to feel less satisfying. If those sounds had woken you up outside your camp at 3 o'clock in the morning, would you stay put or would you pack up and quietly walk away? And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, leaving a like helps support the channel. Subscribe if you'd like to see more documented encounters in future uploads.